Yes, it's on record. Let's go, Cardijn.
About Cardijn. The first thing that is, as I thought about him over the years, that struck me about Cardijn, he was connected with the coal mining industry. So was Keegan, his father was a coal miner. So was Brian O'Halloran, his father was a coal miner. And when I went down the coal mines in Ipswich, one of the things that struck me was the extraordinary dependence that is built up in these old days, when you're totally in the dark underground, on other men in the group. Then no wonder that things like the trade union movement and the YCW owed so much to the coal mining industry. That's by the by. Okay?
Anyway, it's interesting because certainly it's true, like in France and in Belgium, there's always a strong, the heartland was the coal industry, the north of France and southern part of Belgium, yeah. It's true.
To me, just when I was down the mines in Ipswich, when you'd hear a creak of the timbers, you know that everybody, could read every creak that came across. That their lives were constantly in each other's hands. And then, so at any rate, first thing that I remember about Cardijn was being told that when he came home from his holidays, even from his first year in the seminary, he was very sad when he found he was no longer talking the same language as the blokes that he'd grown up with. You probably have come across that. Yep. And that was one of the seeds of what pushed him towards working out the YCW methodology eventually. But it's the same experience that many priests who went through the concentration camps had. They found when they were in the camps, for all their theology and their spirituality, they weren't talking the language of the other people there. And that's what, when a lot of these men then came back into full society after the war, why the priest-worker movement began. That they felt they had to have the same life experience if they were going to be able to talk in the same language as the workers. Was the priest-worker movement then a logical outcome of Cardijn's vision? Well, I feel even to call it the priest-worker gets you on the wrong level. You start off with the priest being somehow apart and special, who becomes a worker, whereas it should be a worker priest, a worker in whom other blokes or women in the workforce have found that this person they can talk to and has a sense of the spiritual values. And so the leadership comes from there. And it's got to start from life, not from seminaries. You can't train people into this sort of a vision of Cardijn's vision from the seminaries. Do you mind if I just go a little bit further on that?
Yeah, yep.
Contrast when Jesus said he didn't take his apostles out of the world, didn't send them off to a yeshiva or an academy to learn theology. He sent them out just to talk about their lives as he was talking about them. And they had to go trusting that God would provide with them with food and shelter. They had to go out with just wearing sandals and nothing else. And well, I was with Keegan and Cardijn and Jack Meert and Maria Miesman and others the day Cardijn was made a cardinal. A day or so before he'd been ordained a bishop, and that had gone all right. But the day he was being going to get his red hat, I was over in the little apartment that they had taken in the Trastevere, the poorest part of Rome in those days. And Cardijn came down the stairs wearing the full regalia of the cardinal with the scarlet robes and everything. And he started to weep badly halfway down the steps. And Pat rushed up to him and said, "What's wrong, Joseph?" And Cardijn said, what I'm wearing today could feed and clothe a man and his wife and 4 or 5 kids for a whole year.
Mm.
I think I've got to ring Montini and tell him I'm not going ahead with it. Montini was the Pope, Paul VI. And Pat and the others argued him out of it, saying that look at it look at it as a privilege to you, it's for the whole YCW movement and the whole lay orders in the world, lay reality of the church. And so he went ahead of it, on with it. I've often wondered, would it have been better if Cardijn had not received the red hat? Admittedly, it did allow him, in the council, once he was a cardinal, then he, with his personality, he was prepared to walk up and down the back aisles of the council, yelling out the name of a bishop's diocese when he wanted to talk to him. He didn't necessarily know his name. And one of the wonderful things about Cardijn, he had no undue sense of self that he had to play a role. It was just himself. And in light of Cardijn's comment that day, I've also remembered what Dorothy Day replied when she was somebody said to her one day, "Oh, they'll canonize you one day, Dorothy." And she just said, "God forbid."
Mm.
And take me away from the people I love most and who love me most. Give some people a gong in front of their name and they immediately belong to a different world.
I'll stop it there.
Stop there.